All right, so much to get to here on Philadelphia 76ers. Now, after the Damian Lillard trade to the Milwaukee Bucks, a ripple effect is going through the rest of the NBA, and that includes some juicy talk on the Sixers front. I'm Chase Sr. Thank you so much for tuning into the show. To support us, make sure you hit that thumbs up icon, like the video, and hit that subscribe button for daily Sixers content as we close in on 12,000 subscribers. So, I want to start off on the Jrue Holiday trade front. We talked about this briefly yesterday, the report from Kyle Neubeck of PHLY that Philadelphia, after Jrue Holiday was included in that Dame trade, getting sent to Portland, could be on the move next because he doesn't really match up with the Trailblazers' timeline now of rebuilding. They traded away Damian Lillard for a reason. They're not going to be a winner. Lillard doesn't want to be a part of that. He wants to chase a championship, and now I think that's a better scenario as compared to the one that we all thought was going to come to fruition, him going to the Miami Heat. He now goes to the Milwaukee Bucks to team up with Giannis, and they form a lethal 1-2 punch. I still think Philadelphia has a chance in a 7-game series against the Bucks, but their chances of beating Milwaukee would change drastically with the acquisition of Jrue Holiday. So we talked about that report from Neubeck, and this could really be a full circle moment for Philadelphia because if you remember, the Sixers draft Holiday out of UCLA. And then to kickstart the process under Sam Hinkie, they traded away Holiday, the former All-Star, to draft Michael Carter-Williams, and then that was really what streamlined the process under Hinkie. And for Jrue Holiday, I'm fascinated by what his acquisition could mean for Philadelphia if he's able to come and team up with Joel Embiid, Tyrese, Maxey, and that is a very, very good trio in the Eastern Conference. And I like the fit. You look at the numbers here on your screen for Jrue Holiday. Good job by producer Jack for popping these up. And you think about the player, right? And his fit alongside Embiid and Maxey. He can play one. He can play two. Him and Maxey can both bring the ball up and serve as the point guard and distributor for this team. They can both get their shots by themselves. And when you scout Holiday, he can create offensively. He can shoot the rock. He can score at all three levels. He's a very smart and heady player, a quality team leader, and in my estimation, the best two-way point guard in the NBA because he is absolutely elite on the defensive end of the floor. Now, he did help lead the Milwaukee Bucks to that championship a couple of years ago. Last year in the playoffs, these numbers here, a little bit concerning. You might look at 18-8 and say, well, what are you talking about, Chase? That's really good. But 40% from the field, less than 29% from three, analytically, not an efficient player. But I just got done talking about everything that Holiday does well. And that's why other teams across the NBA are going to have interest in this guy here to my right. And the reported teams that the Sixers might be in the running with, all teams they're competing for and against in the Eastern Conference here. Miami Heat, Boston Celtics, New York Knicks. Those are three teams in the East that are serious players that are in the road and in the running for an NBA championship that would be, I guess, in front of the Sixers' path here. The Toronto Raptors also loosely being talked about as a team, and then the Golden State Warriors thrown in there as well. Daryl Morey cannot allow Jrue Holiday to go to the Boston Celtics. That would be a heartbreaking turn of events for Philadelphia. He would make that team excellent. And really for Boston, that's the type of point guard that they've been looking for. They tried to settle for a Malcolm Brogdon, who is a solid two-way player, who does some of the same things as Jrue Holiday. He is not Jrue Holiday. And if he goes to Boston, I honestly might like the makeup of that Celtics roster with Holiday, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, a great defensive trio, a great offensive trio, and that roster better than the Milwaukee Bucks. So that's something that we have to keep in mind here. From Jrue Holiday, I want to get to James Harden next. Now that a Damian Lillard trade has happened and Dame is off the market, what happens with some potential James Harden suitors? And where do the trade conversations go from here? Harden now could be included in a deal that could bring you back Jrue Holiday and a little bit of a three-teamer, or a team still looking for a quote-unquote star could now pivot to James Harden because he's the next best thing after Damian Lillard. We've had this conversation here on the show where Dame was the number one trade asset out there, and that diminished the value to a certain degree of James Harden. So now teams could reshift their focus to Harden and maybe increase their offer for Philadelphia's asking price, and they could appease Daryl Morey and company a little bit more. Now, with James Harden, I think it's really hard to think about a scenario in which he returns to the Sixers. There's the drama, there's the weirdness, there's the lingering effect of him calling out Daryl Morey. The players might want him back, but there is way too much friction between him and Philadelphia right now that seems to be salvageable, especially after what we saw the other night as James Harden has created a new Ben Simmons situation. He's out clubbing, and there's one of those, lit up signs that is oftentimes sent to a table with bottle service, and it said Daryl Morey is a liar. And for Harden to be in the vicinity for that, him featured on this video, that sign going around, that's just another play from James Harden that is kind of a calculated move by him to let it be known that with Media Day coming up on Monday, he does not want to be a Philadelphia 76er. But now, after Damian Lillard gets dealt, the Sixers may be looking into Jrue Holiday. Could James Harden be a part of that trade now to make some things happen to better improve this Sixers roster by bringing in Jrue, if that's the case, and making them better by sending away James Harden and getting rid of that headache that is just not ideal? Let's now round out with this. So you think about the Eastern Conference landscape right now. This conference is very, very good, and last year it was very competitive. And it's been competitive for a really long time. That's why under this Joel Embiid era, the Sixers have failed to make it out of the second round of the playoffs. Now, that's been because of subpar play from Joel. That's been because of the competition in the East, some playoff choke jobs by him as well as this organization. But the landscape of the East is now dramatically different. You have Dame, Giannis, Chris Middleton, and Brook Lopez. That is a very good team, and now Dame has the best supporting cast of his career. Unlimited weapon offensively is Lillard. Can score from all three levels, has range out to 35 feet. You match him now up with Giannis, and my goodness, that is a feared 1-2 punch. So you have to worry about the Bucks. You still have to worry about the Boston Celtics. Miami Heat culture, always a team that is going to give you a run for your money. They're going to be extremely well coached. Losing out on Dame certainly hurts them as far as their roster goes, but as currently constituted, it's pretty much the team that made it to the NBA Finals last year. Outside of that, you have the Sixers, right? And if you get Holiday, that improves your stock in the East. But you also have the Cleveland Cavaliers. You have the New York Knicks. You have the Chicago Bulls. The list goes on and on and on. And Stephen A. Smith made the argument yesterday. Philadelphia is not the team that traded for Dame. Philadelphia is not the team that brought in Dame in putting a great offer on the table to team up Embiid with Lillard. And now he's looking at a team like the Milwaukee Bucks. What happens with Giannis? He starts to have this conversation. I might not be with the Bucks for the long haul. I want to know that they're all in on winning a championship, not just this year, but if I were to re-sign on the max, which is looming and coming up on the horizon, shortly in the distance, I want to know that if I re-sign with Milwaukee every single year, they're going to do what they have to do from a business basketball operation standpoint to surround me with the necessary pieces to win a championship. And they didn't answer that call for a little while. Even though they won the championship a couple of years ago, they answered that call in a big way by trading for Dame. And now you have Joel Embiid, who said, I want to win a championship. I'd like to be here in Philadelphia, but I'm open maybe to going somewhere else if it doesn't work out here. And you think about some of the things that he's had to deal with. The process, the up and down nature of that. Ben Simmons just refusing to shoot the basketball. Markelle Fultz in the shoulder injury. He wanted Jimmy Butler back. They let him go. He wanted J.J. Redick back. They let him go. He's had to deal with these coaching changes, a lot of drama. That's not to say that Embiid hasn't been a part of the Sixers' failures here. But Stephen A. Smith making the argument here, which is pretty interesting, that maybe Embiid's going to get to the point where he's like, now we're not going to be able to get past Giannis and Dame. And we had an opportunity to maybe bring in Dame. And still, we have Harden on this team, and he's, at a party in which a sign is going around that Daryl Morey is a liar. I want out now. Trade me to the New York Knicks. They have the assets. That's a better team. And my chances of winning an NBA championship are better with New York than they are here, and I'm tired of dealing with all the drama. Now, I don't think it's going to get to that point right now. I think Stephen A. Smith was just having that conversation. But what I've continued to say, if this upcoming season is a disaster, and the Sixers have another playoff flame-out and choke job, look out for a Joel Embiid trade to potentially happen at some point down the road after this year. I don't think it comes to a point where it happens this year, but it's something that we have to be aware of. Because if Dame requests a trade, Bradley Beal requests a trade, and both of those players said they wanted to be with those organizations forever, and they're no longer with those teams, Joel Embiid could be next in line. Appreciate everybody for tuning into the show today. This is Philadelphia 76ers Now. Show us some love by hitting that subscribe button down below, and keep it locked here for more Sixers updates.